Did you know that statistically, 95% of traders who try and pass the FTMO challenge fail? So that's only 5% that pass. And only 7% of those that pass and get those funded accounts end up actually receiving a payout. So that means that from 1,000 traders, only 3 or 4 of those traders ever receive any kind of payout. So you wonder, why bother if the chances of making any money are that low? Because what's the purpose of trading? The whole point is to make money. And if you're not making money, why bother at all? But if you are stuck, if you have been struggling, if you feel a bit lost at the moment and you've lost your way, well, I'm going to show you the way to pass the next challenge that you take. I'm going to explain to you in this video the reasons why perhaps you or other traders have not been able to pass the challenge up until now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to manage risk. I built something called the Trader's Edge formula. So not only do I educate people on how to trade to become consistently profitable, but I've also built software to ensure that at all times you are on track to hit the targets that you want to, but importantly to protect the downside, which we call drawdown. And this is the big reason why traders don't pass these challenges. I know this because I've coached so many people, and I know that even though that they think that they've got the edge and that their strategy is really dialed in, they just don't understand the numbers, and the numbers being what their win rate is on average from the amount of trades that they're going to make in a month. They don't know what their average risk reward needs to be to hit that target that they need. And if it's a challenge, 10%. Then in terms of that downside, what they don't know is that even though they might think that they've got a really good strategy, how will their trading account be protected if they get into drawdown? And this is where all the mistakes actually happen, because when they get into drawdown, a lot of traders panic and they start doubling down on trades and trying their hardest to get out of that deep drawdown situation. And we're talking 6 or 7% drawdown on your trading account. So if you've got 100,000 and then you're suddenly down to 94,000, well, you're getting close to breaching that drawdown limit of 10%, which means that you would fail the account. So we're going to put a stop to that. Okay, and I've built software. It's taken me a good part of this year, 9 months, maybe 9, 10 months, to build everything, and a lot of a lot of hours, a lot of sweat and tears, but it's really worth it, because what I'm doing is I'm creating a movement in the global trading community, and you're welcome to join me in that movement and transform your trading journey, which is ultimately for you to start making money, which is what it's about, isn't it? So without further ado, in this video, we're going to look at the Drawdown Defender. We're going to do some calculations based on real numbers. And if you've not come across this before, something called the Monte Carlo simulation. Now, Monte Carlo is based on the game of poker, where people would go into a casino and it didn't matter what hand that they had, there would be infinite outcomes because you've got to consider that you're playing against maybe 4 or 5 other players, all with different cards, and the result you're betting on is that your hand is going to be better than everybody else's. So if you started off that hand um, with aces, you might think, gosh, I've got a really, really good hand here. But what's the probability of you winning that hand? You start off with good cards, but it doesn't mean that you're still going to win that hand, even though you might think that you've got the best possible chance. Okay, so everything's random, and this is how things work with trading. It's random, so you may end up getting a losing streak of 5 or 6 trades and think psychologically, oh my God, this strategy, it just doesn't work. I just don't seem to be able to pick the right trades, cutting trades too quickly. Those winners that I should have let run longer, I'm holding on to losing trades for longer than what I should do. And there's no consistency, there's no pattern, there's no certainty. It's all unpredictable. Okay. And what we want to do is to create certainty and predictability to ensure that when we trade, we have as much certainty of that outcome as we possibly can. And this is what the Trader's Edge formula is all about. So there's a number of different things that we do to ensure that we have the formula dialed in such a way that we know those metrics whenever we place any trade. So we will know what the average risk reward ratio is that we need because we know what win rate we need. We know how much we're going to risk on each trade, so the position sizing is correct, and also how many trades on average we're going to be making in a month. And then when we know those numbers, what we can do is we can run infinite simulations to see what would happen if our strategy is dialed in, that we've got an edge there, but can it actually survive during a drawdown period? So where you do get those losing streaks, and traders, from my experience of coaching someone, they start to panic once they get deep into a drawdown situation, and they think, do you know what, my strategy just doesn't work. I think I'm going to try another one. And then they start strategy hopping, which is completely the wrong thing to do. What you have to do is, if you think that because you back tested and back tested and back tested that strategy, and you know that over a certain period of time it will give you the desired result, then you stick to it. But what you do need to do is make sure that you are not putting on too much per trade. What you should be doing is always risking exactly the same percentage of your trading account on every single trade. Okay, you can't deviate from that because what you want is predictability. And from traders that I've coached, what they do is, if they see a good trade setup, what they may do is say, "God, this one is absolutely nailed on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to risk maybe 1% of the trading account on that trade." And what happens? Sometimes it does well for them. But what happens if they do lose on that trade and it hits a stop loss? And that's 1% of their account that has been taken out. So that's quite significant if you consider that if you've got 100,000 account and you're only allowed to 10% before you fail the challenge. So that really means that you've only got a £10,000 account, not 100,000. The 100,000 gives you the leverage, but you've really only got a 10,000 account. So if you've got 10 trades in a row wrong, that's it. The account's lost at that 1% risk per trade. So your strategy might be dialed in, but there are going to be these random losing streaks. So you'll never have a pattern where you'll get 5 winning trades in a row, 5 losing trades in a row, 5 winning ones, then another 3 losing ones, then 5 winning ones. It's all random. And I'm going to show you that in this video as we go through this software that I've built. Okay, so let's get into this now. I'm going to share my screen with you all. So, okay, so this is the Drawdown Defender. Why have I called it the Defender? Because what we're doing is when we're trading, we are looking to hit our 10% to pass a challenge. Or if you're trading a personal account, you're looking to try and get a certain percentage return month in, month out, and do that consistently. And then what we do is we focus only on the actual target return, but we forget about the risk on the downside, what could go wrong. And so what we want to do is defend our trading account to avoid breaching the 10%. So with the Drawdown Defender, this is one of a suite of 5 that I built this year. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the initial account size, 100,000, and a guy I coached recently, Tom, he said that some trades he'd risk maybe 0.3% of his trading account. So 100,000, he'd risk like 300 maximum on that trade. And then another trade, he might risk 1,000, so 1% of the account. So there was no consistency at all. And on the one that he would risk 1%, he might have only closed that and got an RR of 1.4 to 1. So the 1,000 would have only made him 1,400. It's not great because depending on how many trades you do, if you're a scalper, you might be doing lots of trades, but you certainly should not be risking 1% of your trading account on every single trade. Okay. But we'll talk about that another day. So there was no consistency in how much he was risking per trade. Also, he had no idea the risk reward ratio. And another calculator I have, we put all the numbers into the journal so we know how much somebody's average risk reward ratio is based on all of the trades that they do. So some trades they might make an RR of 1.7 and other ones 1.3, and then sometimes it might be a 2.3. And then what we do is average all of those losing trades as well. So ultimately that gives us this average reward ratio, which we can put into the Drawdown Defender. But we need to test all of this. So what we also need to know is what the win rate is likely to be. So in Tom's case, he thought his win rate was 47%, but the reality was it was only 37%, risking 1% really on average per trade. So some of them were 0.3, but most 1% per trade, which is far too high. So I could see immediately, but he was told that that was a good amount to risk by somebody. So also the number of trades that he was doing on average per month was 50, and that average risk reward was actually 1.4. So on that 100,000, let's run this simulation. So what I've got here for personal accounts, and then we click this one here. So this is the mode for people that want to test their strategy before they take on another challenge. And if you watch a video that I've done on the true cost of trading, you'll be absolutely shocked how much money traders spend on challenges, staring at the screens without making any money at all. The lost opportunity, the numbers really, really add up. So we've ticked here the trading challenge mode. So we're going to run infinite Monte Carlo simulations here. So these random outcomes. So click on run new simulation. That's immediately telling us that on that 100,000 account, risking 1% per trade, risk reward ratio on average 1.4, and their win rate 37% across 50 trades on average. You can simulate this across as many trades as you want, but we're going to put in 50 here. Okay, so I've run the simulation, and what this is showing is that he did not have an edge at all. It was impossible for him to pass the challenge. So what it showed is that his outcome on those numbers, on that win rate, that average risk reward ratio, risk per trade, etc., was 4.63%. And then from that, required return to break even 4.85. Now, this is where it gets interesting. So we can see that win rate there, what that worst drawdown point is. And that's just only on one simulation. So what we're going to have a look at is the account balance progression here. So this is where he's starting at. So he's got 100,000, okay, in blue. And then the first trade that he makes, so these are all trades along the bottom here, is he's lost 1%. Well, then he's had a couple of winners. He's in profit by 1.8%. Then he gets a couple of losing trades. So he's now down to a loss of 0.2. He's in profit again, a couple of winning trades. So it's all looking good again. And then by the time he gets to trade 9, still in the profit of 0.5 because he's had a couple of winners there. And then he starts to get some losing trades. So what happens is this color on these bars change as he gets deeper into drawdown. Then he gets 4 winning trades. See how the sequence goes. So when you're trading, nothing is actually, oh, winning trade, winning trade, winning trade, winning trade. You get losing trades, sometimes winning trades, but nothing actually happens equal. Okay, so it's always random. And this is where it messes with your mind because you can get into drawdown and then you can wake up and think, oh God, I'm like 4 or 5% in drawdown, and you can't see the woods for the trees. So what this does is it's just showing you before you even try to do a challenge what potentially could happen. So you're prepared for that, and it will find you out. It will find you out as to whether you really do have an edge or not. So trade 17, he has 4 winning trades here. So he's in profit. Woohoo. He's now 2.1% in profit. Then 18th trade. Look at these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades in a row, losing ones. Then he gets a winning trade, then a losing trade, a winning trade, and then trade 27. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 losing trades. So he's now at a loss of 8.8%. So that's what his drawdown looks like. And he's in quicksand and he's desperately trying to get out. He's struggling. And you know what it's like. If you are that deep into drawdown and getting very close to that 10%, are you really going to be able to get out of that? What's your mind going to be doing at that point? You're going to think, oh no, I'm going to fail another challenge again, and I'm going to have to start from scratch. So it's a bit like snakes and ladders. You think you're making progress, you roll a dice, and then land on a snake, and you go all the way back down again. That's what the trading challenge cycle is like. You think you're doing well. I know people that have almost got to the 10% and they did some reckless trades and ended up on a losing streak and they lost the account. I mean, they're just so close to passing it and then they just lost the trading account. They just lost all discipline. But when you're in a drawdown situation as deep as this, it's very difficult to get out of. So once you get to trade 41, so 9.6, pulls himself out of it a little bit there, so 8.3 there. But look, he's done 50 trades and he's got no chance. So he's in real danger there. That's just one simulation. Here's another one. Worst drawdown point. So look at this number here. So this will be the same based on these inputs. But look at what happens with the worst drawdown point. It's now 7.52. Oh, there you go. That's the third one we've run on these numbers. So this is all random. So I don't know what's coming next. So it's saying on this simulation now, worst trade drawdown point was 10.12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So by the time he got to his ninth trade, he was already at a loss of 8.6. By the time he got to trade 13, he was out. Trades before failure, 13. So his actual win rate was only 7.7%. So with Tom's numbers, these weren't exactly what happened, but in terms of how much risk he was taking on each trade, on average, 1%. His win rate wasn't as much as what he thought it was until we put all of those numbers into the trading strategy uploader. It's another bit of software that I've built. So you put all the numbers in and it tells the real results as to what somebody's win rate is, what the average risk reward ratio is, how much on average they're risking per trade. And what people tell me is never the same as what happens when we put the numbers into the trading strategy analyzer. But we'll get into that another day. This is all about drawdown. So this is purely random simulation. Don't know what's coming next. That's what would happen on this path of random trading results. So losing trades, winning trades, losing trades. Let's run another simulation. So this one, worst drawdown point 6.51. He's not going to pass the challenge because this always stays the same based on these numbers. So let's just say he increases his win rate. So his win rate now is 42%, but he's still not improved his average risk reward on each trade. But his win rate's 42%. Run that simulation. Okay, so he's not in drawdown on these numbers. He's improved his win rate. So he's 42% out of 50 trades. So that means he's got 21 out of 50 winning trades. And we'll just run this. But there's a worse drawdown point there, 7.66. So this is what happens when you've got a low win rate. This is where the work's required. You've got to work on the trades that you're doing. Make sure that you are sometimes letting winners run for longer to improve your risk reward ratio. And make sure that you are closing trades when you should close them to increase this win rate. It's just all about getting that balance right, making sure, and this is one thing that's so important, what I'm going to say now, is this risk per trade. It cannot be random. It has to be precise to follow a formula. This is a recipe. Each trade that you make, you can't risk 0.2% or and then 1% on another trade. It has to be the exact amount on each trade. So then when we look at the trader's edge formula, we'll go into the trader's edge simulator, and then we'll come back to this one again afterwards. If we're looking for this 10% target and you're putting 100,000 in, looking at the percentage that you're going to risk per trade, let's just say it's 0.3%. Your risk per trade is £300. You need a win rate of 61.1% on just doing 20 trades in a month. And let's just say you were doing 60 trades in a month. Then your win rate's 51.9%. So you would need 31 out of 60 winning trades on an average risk reward of 2 to 1. So that's what you would need to hit that 10%. So the trader's edge formula, do all of these calculations in here so you can see what you need to do to hit the target. Let's go back to the Drawdown Defender again. And if you improve these numbers, let's just say you're not going to risk any more than 0.3% per trade. Traders say, I want to risk more because I've got a really good strategy and the reward is going to be great, because if I get like 2 to 1 return on that and I'm risking 1,000, I'll get 2,000 back. But they haven't put the numbers into the Drawdown Defenders. They don't know how devastating the downside will be. They haven't done the Monte Carlo simulations. This is just so powerful that it will transform any trader's results, providing that they're disciplined, they follow their strategy, and they do follow the system. Because if they don't, then you're just going to get random results. So going back to what I said earlier, what we want is predictability. We want certainty to make sure that when you're trading, yeah, you know what that desired outcome looks like. And then you've got the downside covered because you've run the numbers through this. So you can then tweak things on a weekly basis. You just review the numbers and make sure, okay, so what do I need to do? What could I do differently? Okay, what I need to do is I need to, improve my average risk reward ratio. Okay, because the moment that I do that and increase my win rate, then I've got a better chance. But I need to make sure that I'm not going to risk too much per trade. Okay, because that will kill me. It will kill the account. So I can't do that. So this is why this is so powerful. Look what happens if we only risk 0.3%. So this is a conversation I had with Tom. We could improve his win rate because we were looking at holding on to trades for longer, improving his risk reward ratio. So he was targeting an average risk reward ratio of 2 to 1. And this was on 60 trades. So on average, 3 trades per day following a certain trading strategy that we went through. But on 60, look what happens. Run the simulation only on a 0.3% risk. So risking £300 per trade, no more than that. So if you're risking 20 pips on a trade, then you're going to be dividing 20 into 300, and that's the maximum that you can risk on the trade. So you'd only be risking £15 per point. Okay, no more than that. When I review people's numbers, if I see their account and they've lost on a trade and we've agreed that it's 0.3% that they're going to be risking per trade, and they've ended up losing more than the £300, like £600 or something like that, I'm not happy because what they've done is gone against the system, the formula. They need to stick to 300. So important. That's if it's 0.3% of 100,000. If you decide that it's 0.5%, then you risk a maximum of £500 per trade, but no more. So that way you're disciplined. So if it hits your stop loss, you're not going to keep moving the stop loss further and further away. So, oh no, this trade, I'm absolutely sure I went long on it. It started to turn against me, but I'm absolutely sure that it's going to bounce back up and I'm going to be back into profit and it's going to hit my target. And then it keeps going down. And instead of the trade closing, hitting the stop loss, it hold on to it a little bit longer, a little bit longer, a little bit longer. And then what happens? They end up losing a lot more than what they initially intended to. All right. So increasing that win rate. So that's a 44%. So that's only 26 out of 60 of those winning trades that are required to get 5.48. Okay, because they've increased their risk reward ratio. So what about if they increase their win rate by 2%? Okay, now that's looking a lot better, 7.40. But look what happens on the drawdown. So let's run the numbers. Worst drawdown point 0.90, 0.30. Now that's a lot nicer, isn't it? A lot more comfortable. So 0.01, 0.60, 0.90. Can you see by increasing the average risk reward overall across those 60 trades, that's what you'd be looking to achieve, but only risking 0.3%. Just watch the number keep changing. 0.61, 0.60. So 1.50 is probably the worst that we've seen on there. But look what happens. Look at these. So anything that's green is a winning trade, and then losing trades, winning trade, in profit 0.6, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consecutive losing trades. But look at that, only in drawdown by maximum of 1.5%. But because your win rate, I mean, 46%, not even above 50 here, but because this average risk reward ratio is 2 to 1, it's still good. Okay, so off 60 trades, you still haven't got to your 10% yet. We know what you need to do if we go into the other calculators, and that's how we start to address all of this, and we can see what's really needed to get to that 10%. But what we're focusing on here is, are you going to hit drawdown of 10%? Are you going to breach that 10%? Well, you're not, are you? Because you can see here, if you're only risking 0.3%, you're risking £300 per trade. That's your win rate, that's your average risk reward, and we're simulating this over 60 trades. And let's just say if we did this over 100 trades. So 100 trades, you can do as many as you want. All right, so 100 trades, you'd hit the profit 11.96%. And worst drawdown 0.91. Let's just do some more. 0.63. So you can do this 100 times. You can just keep clicking the mouse 1,000 times if you want to, just to see all these different random outcomes and see whether that would make you lose your trading account. So let's go back. 0.30, 1.49, 2.68. Okay, so 2.68 because it's over 100 random trades now. So we're just extending the length of trades. You see these green ones, well, that'd be nice little running streak there, especially with a 2 to 1 return. And then you got 5 in a row on there, so that would bring the profit back down to 2.7. So you got it to 4.2, but because it's 0.3% that you're risking per trade, it's down to 2.7% profit, and then a 0.3% risk on a trade. If you get a 2 to 1 on it, it gives you a 0.6% return. So that's why this is up to 3.3, and you can see these are all random outcomes because trading is random, and because it's random, we need predictability and certainty, and to trade with absolute precision. And look at what happens. We get to trade number 99, you're up to 11.3%. Happy days. Okay, so you can do infinite simulations, but what the Drawdown Defender will do is it will find you out if you're risking too much per trade, if your average risk reward ratio is too low, if your win rate is too low, then you're going to get found out. If you've got a combination of risking far too much per trade, say 1%, you're going to be in serious trouble if you are doing too many trades and your average risk reward ratio is low. So even if it's like 1.4, you're thinking, yeah, but $1,000 made 1,400. But if your win rate is not good, then you're going to get found out and you're going to lose the account. There you go. 10.89, first one I've run on there, and you lasted for 21 trades before you hit drawdown. So these numbers are key. These are all the ingredients in the formula that you need to know what the likely outcome is going to be. All right. So I will do another one of these videos. I have written a couple of books about drawdown and Monte Carlo simulations. It's interesting, traders that I've spoke to, most don't actually know about Monte Carlo simulations, which is surprising. You can see how important they are because you have to run those simulations just to find out what would happen in different circumstances. but there's nothing like this out there. So this is why I built this software, and it has taken, yeah, I started, what we're in November now, so I started building this at the beginning of the year, kept adapting and iterating the software and built different ones as part of this formula. For a while, I used to have to do things on Excel spreadsheets. So eventually I got down to it and just built all of this because it is absolutely essential if you want to be successful as a trader. I see people strategy hopping. They'll see something on TikTok or whatever, and oh, this strategy is working for me. It's making me lots of, and then they'll try another one and another one and another shiny object, etc. Now, it's not about the strategy. The foundation is all about the mathematics, the mathematical formula, and I obsess over the numbers. They are so important. But before ever doing a challenge, you have to know what these numbers are before even doing a challenge and testing your strategy. It's like the house of cards. You can't execute a strategy without actually knowing what the downside risk is going to be. It doesn't matter if the strategy is really, really good one. You're going to have days where it will let you down. And this is where the house of cards does fall, because people are starting at the top. There isn't actually any base to it. Okay, so it's like having a table with only, two legs on it. It's just going to fall over, isn't it? So you've got to have that foundation. It's what I call the profit pyramid. So there's different parts to the pyramid. So you start with the foundations so that you don't build it on sand. Okay, it needs to be built on a solid foundation. And so when you do pass the trading challenge, which is ultimately the whole point, get through the verification stage and then start trading a funded account to make you money. Going back to what I was saying before, if only 7% receive a payout, there's no certainty there. There's no consistency. So if you get a funded account, you need to keep doing this same thing over and over again. So you have that perfect consistency. And you know that if you do have those days where your trading results aren't good, that you're not going to lose that funded account because you've breached the 10% drawdown. So this is why 95% of traders fail the FTMO challenge. If you want to find out more, there will be a link in the description below. Join the trading movement. My mission is to just change the whole global trading community. There's millions of people that trade, but there's not that many that do well at it. And I'm wanting to change that. In this video, I've given you some insights into why you can change your whole trading journey by really dialing into these numbers and understanding the importance of the mathematical formula behind it. No matter how good your strategy is, you might feel that you've got the edge. Well, you have to test whether you do have the edge or not, especially if you want to be consistently profitable and have a very successful trading career, and to give you the lifestyle that you want, which is the whole purpose, to have freedom to be able to trade when you want to on your terms and to make the money that you want to make. All right. So look out for the next video. I'm going to be going into the Trader's Edge Formula Simulator. So we're going to be looking at the other end. In this video, the downside, protecting the account, defending against drawdown, and in the next video, looking at how you can hit that 10%. Again, looking at all the metrics. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. That's the only way that you'll be alerted to the next videos coming out. And if you like the video, then please press the like button. Don't need to smash it. Don't need to wreck your keyboard. Okay, I'll see you again soon.